They love games.
Welcome to the Standalone plugin maker. If you've made native C++ plugins for Unity before, you're familiar with the process of creating a project and creating the C++ interface and making sure that the Unity signature matches with the C++ plugin. And with the Standalone plugin maker, all that signature mapping is done for you. So you can name your plugin. You can name the mono behavior that connects to the C++ plugin. And currently this will generate a plugin with the header and implementation code for C++ that will generate the plugin. There are a couple different panels here. So you'll see there's the plugin preview panel and the plugin maker panel. As you populate data on the plugin maker panel, you see on the preview panel that the three sections will populate data. So the top section is the mono behavior C# script. Then you've got the header preview and the implementation preview, which is the C++ side. In the plugin maker panel, you have the ability to add methods, and you'll see that entries marked in red are haven't had their return type or parameter type set, or possibly the parameter name or method name is empty. And as you populate that data, it will go back to the default color, or the red highlight will disappear. So here we're just adding a couple methods. So you see we've added one method called food calculation, which has a return type of int. On the mono develop side, mono behavior, C# side, it's made the external reference with the DLL import attribute on the function to match the DLL name. And on the C++ implementation side, it's built the external DLL library calls for the prototype line and then the implementation details. And it generates a stub with at least the expected return type, or if it's a void method, it leaves an empty block. Currently there's several supported types, which will be improved over time. The supported types are there's several supported return types and there's several supported parameter types. So from the plugin maker pane, when you generate the project, you get a little progress bar, which it's generated a Unity C# script, and that kicks off a Unity compile operation, which is why there's a little timer to wait for the compile to complete. And then it also generates the Visual Studio 2010 project files necessary to compile the class library. So it includes the references to the C++ header and implementation file, the .h and the .cpp. And the mono behavior script references the compiled plugin. Also in the project file there are some build events that when you compile it will place and create a plugins folder and copy the compiled plugin into the appropriate place in your Unity project. Now there are chances that sometimes you might make a compile mistake, like naming your mono behavior badly, and if there's a compile mistake, you can always just click delete generated mono behavior script, and that will remove the old script so that you can make fixes and then save that. There's also built-in configuration handling so that you can build up your interface and then save the configuration. You might do this if you make a lot of plugins or you've got some sort of standards, coding standards for how you develop your plugins. You could just provide that as a configuration file and load your configuration file with the methods and events that you expect. And then other team members could just run with that example script and customize it. The configuration files are XML, so you have the opportunity to even create your method interfaces purely in XML and import that, and then it will build the C# and C++ code for you. When you generate plugins, there is also validation. If the panel detects any errors, it will gray out the generate plugin button. And also, if there are no UI errors that it can detect when you generate plugin, there is some sanity checking for checking if two methods have the same parameters but a different return type, and if there are multiple parameters, making sure all the parameters are the same, and then checking the return type. And Unity will also check any other compile errors that you'll see in the log, and then you have a chance to just remove the generated script and regenerate after you've made some fixes. So here we've had a mono behavior script with our invalid name, and we see some errors. We need to rename that to be a compile safe class name. And part of the standalone plugin maker package includes an example XML configuration file, which you can load, and it has various methods and varying parameters and return types, which I use as just a unit test to make sure that the appropriate C# and C++ scripts are being generated properly. There we go. Once you fix the mono behavior name, when we generate the C++ project, the class project, it won't have any more compile errors in the C# script. So this is the process. So you generate the script. After it's done compiling, it puts the mono behavior script in the inspector. And then if you've got Visual Studio open, you can switch to Visual Studio. And then when it successfully builds, then it will copy the plugin, whatever you've named it, to the plugins, the assets plugins directory. And the mono behavior script will have the appropriate name to match the DLL. There's also some buttons for if you want to start from scratch. You can just click the Clear Methods button, and it will remove all the methods that have been added in the panel. So you get a blank implementation, header, and mono behavior script. And you can see there is validation, which pops up prompts to let you know that there's a validation error. Here again you see highlighted in red the fields, the parameters, and the methods that might have a validation error, which could just be that the return type is set, or that you've got two methods with the same parameters and different return types. So we'll set that scenario up here. So two methods with the method name of method name. The second method has a return type of int and a parameter of int. The first method has a return type of void, and you get a validation error because they've got the same number of args but different return types. And then again, if the validation doesn't catch something, Unity will always catch something in the console, and you can fix your errors appropriately. So this is the standalone plugin maker for Unity. Hopefully it saves you a bunch of time so that you don't have to manually set up these projects anymore. You just name your plugin and you build it.
They love games.